North Carolina homeowners just got hit with 2 rate increases back to back, 7.5% and another 7.5%, and most retirees didn't see it coming. That's just one of 7 things you need to handle before you retire here. I've spent 22 years helping hundreds of families make this exact move, so I know where people tend to get blindsided. And by the end of the video, hopefully you will too. The tax reality. North Carolina lets you keep more of your retirement check than almost any state on the list. And that's not a sales pitch, that's reality. Let's start with Social Security. It isn't taxed here at all. There's no income limit and no phase out. So if you're coming from New York or California, that alone will feel like a raise. The flat income tax rate dropped to about 3.99% this year, the lowest it's been in decades. But the same rate applies to withdrawals from your 401k and traditional IRAs. So if you're pulling most of your income from those accounts, you will pay tax on every dollar above the standard deduction. Most relocation videos kinda skip that part. And if you have government or military pension, that income may be tax-free. Military retirement after 20 years of service and medical retirement both get a full dedication with no cap. For our veterans, that's a huge deal. There's also no estate tax or inheritance tax. Both were repealed, the inheritance tax back in the late 1990s and the estate tax in 2013. Property tax relief is also available for some seniors on a fixed income. It's worth calling your county tax office to see if you qualify. Those tax breaks can add up, so run your own numbers with a local CPA. How far those savings go also depends on where you live, because each part of the state feels pretty darn different. The geography and weather truths. Around here, where you settle can change the kind of weather you deal with. On the coast, you may be putting up hurricane shutters. In the mountains, you may be pulling out snow chains, and in Winston-Salem, right in the Piedmont between them, you may also watch a spring storm stroll right through. The coast is beautiful, but it comes with real hurricane risk and strict flood zone rules. The mountains are also gorgeous, but they bring steep roads and winter weather, and as people saw a couple of years ago with Hurricane Helene, they can bring serious flooding as well. And weather isn't the only thing that changes depending on where you live. Healthcare does too, and we'll get to that soon. Now, Winston-Salem sits well inland, roughly 250 miles from the nearest coast, and outside the storm surge zones, and the average commute here is about 10 to 15 minutes, which is way below the national average. Day to day, the weather is calmer than what you'll find on the coast or in the mountains, and that doesn't mean there's zero risk. The Triad still gets an occasional tornado in spring and ice storms in the winter. The risk is significantly lower, but it's still there. The calmer weather can make life more predictable when you're living on a fixed income, but it won't protect you from a higher insurance bill, and that's where we're heading next. First, just a quick word before we keep going. If you're thinking about retiring in Winston-Salem or Triad area, or frankly anywhere in North Carolina, weather and taxes are only part of the decision. I help retirees find a home that's the right size and easy to lock up and leave at this stage of their life. My contact information is in the description below, and I'd love to help you with your decision. Now, let's look at what's happening with insurance. Climbing property insurance. Whether you're watching waves or cardinals in your background, insurance costs are going up. Premiums are climbing across the state, not only on the coast. The state approved a 7.5% increase in 2025 and another 7.5% increase in 2026. That's 15% over 2 years for standard homeowners policies. Another 5% increase of dwelling and fire coverage starts this October. And costs rise even more near the water, where coast zip codes face much higher wind and hail charges. You may be wondering how this affects your options for active adult living, and we'll get to that soon. But first, let's finish the insurance part. Now, rates are climbing nationwide nationwide, so don't assume the premium you pay in another state will follow you here. Add the real cost to your monthly budget before you fall for a house. For anyone looking in the Triad, Winston-Salem is one of the easier places to insure in the entire state. Standard policies here usually include wind and hail, unlike many coastal policies, and most homes aren't in high-risk flood zones. Honestly, very, very, very few are here. The difference between insuring a coastal home and one in Winston-Salem can add up to thousands of dollars difference each year. Roof age is more important than it used to be. So get a quote for the specific property before you make an offer, because that can be a real difference between a home that fits your budget and one that doesn't. Your zip code also affects more than your insurance bill, and we'll get to that now. Healthcare access depends on your zip code. It's 2 in the morning and you need a cardiologist fast. In some parts of the state, there may not be one for miles. In Winston-Salem, that care is much closer. That gap in healthcare access is common. See, care is strong in the Triad, Charlotte, and the Triangle. But in rural counties, many hospitals are losing money, so some are at real risk of even closing. If the emergency room you're counting on is 45 minutes away, make sure it'll still be there when you need it. Winston-Salem stands out amongst mid-sized cities because it has 2 major hospital systems in the same metro. Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist runs a level 1 trauma center and a comprehensive cancer center that has held its top-tier national designation since 1974. Across town, literally 7 minutes away, Novant Health runs Forsyth Medical Center and a rehabilitation hospital. It also recently partnered with Duke Health to expand access across the state. Clemens and Louisville are about 15 to 20 minutes from both systems in normal traffic. That's the kind of access you want when something goes wrong. Those 2 hospital systems and the cancer center tell you more than any ranking can. The next question is how close you want to live to that care, especially if you're looking at retirement communities. Ever wonder why people keep saying there's nothing for active adults in this part of the state? I wondered the same thing until I looked into it myself. See, this isn't Florida. You won't find endless mega communities with a golf cart lane on every street. Most of the large resort-style developments here are near Charlotte, Raleigh, and the beaches. The Triad still has a solid group of 55-plus communities, especially around Clemens and Bermuda Run. Some are gated and come with golf, pools, and on-site dining. They're smaller than the communities near Charlotte or the coast, but they usually cost less and come with lower insurance risks. So if you want a planned community with activities every day, Clemens and Bermuda Run give you some good options. Other retirees choose a traditional neighborhood with no age limit and might love it there too. Before you buy, ask what share of residents are 55 and up, and the HOA fees have changed over the past 5 years, so whether there's any special assessments currently or coming. But the amenities are only part of the decision. You also need to know whether the neighborhood will still fit your life 10 years from now, especially when you compare the cost with other parts of the state. A dollar doesn't go as far in every part of North Carolina. In Charlotte and Asheville, higher prices eat into it fast. In this area, the Triad, well, your money does stretch further. And if you're coming from a high-cost state like New York or California, you'll be amazed by how far your money can go anywhere in North Carolina. But growth brings good things and headaches. See, Charlotte, Raleigh, and Asheville have more amenities. However, traffic and home prices are climbing fast. Also, Asheville is no longer the affordable mountain town many people still picture. This is where I'd point you towards the Triad, or specifically Winston-Salem. You still get the arts, food, and culture people want from North Carolina, but with less crowding and a much lower price tag. The median home price sits well below Charlotte, Raleigh, and Asheville, with a gap of 6 figures at that median. You also have major hospital systems nearby, and the slower pace of growth can leave more money in your pocket each and every year. Winston-Salem has UNCSA, University of North Carolina School of the Arts, where my wife went to school, the nationally ranked arts school downtown, the Renolda House Art Museum, and the 300+ acre Innovation Quarter. Piedmont Triad International Airport is about a 20 to 30 minute drive, and the Charlotte International Airport is about an hour to an hour and 15. And if I were in your shoes, I'd take the slower growth city with a strong healthcare and six-figure discount. Just don't let that lower price distract you from the one practical detail that can decide whether daily life here works. There is one thing about aging here that people don't plan for until it's possibly too late. How will you get to the grocery store if you can't drive anymore? Outside of a few walkable downtown areas, North Carolina is a car state, full stop. Public transit is limited in most neighborhoods, and suburban service is often thin or not a thing. That may not be a problem in your 60s, but you also need to think about life at 80. Think about how you'll get around if driving becomes hard. A downtown condo 3 blocks from a grocery store gives you a different aging-in-place plan than a suburban ranch 4 miles from the nearest pharmacy. Winston-Salem has updated its transit system over the past couple of years. There's now a $2 fare cap, so you can ride all day for $2. Most people looking at this area don't know that. The regional PART, P-A-R-T system also offers a 50% discount for seniors and Medicare cardholders, though weekend service is limited. The most transit-friendly areas are downtown, the Innovation Quarter, Ardmore, and West End. In Clemens and Louisville and Paughtown, well, you will definitely need a car. Before you buy, ask yourself one thing. If I couldn't drive for 6 months, what would my plan be? Get clear answers on all 7 points, and you'll know whether this retirement will work for you. So these 7 things don't have to stop you from retiring in North Carolina. You just need to plan for them before you make the move. If you want your own numbers, including insurance and taxes, checked against a real Winston-Salem property instead of a statewide average, email me at sales@theginthergroup.com today. I help retirees making this move every single week, and I can get real answers back to you within a day. And if you already know Winston-Salem, frankly, or anywhere in North Carolina is the right move, but aren't sure which neighborhood or specific spot fits your lifestyle, watch the video linked here. I break down 6 retirement neighborhoods to consider in Winston-Salem. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.